Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 33 of the Smite Update. My name is Octane Pro, and joining me, as always, is my wingman. We do have FG3000.
Wingman?
How's it going, buddy?
Man, I'm the pilot. You're the wingman.
Hey,
I'm Tom Cruise. I want to be Tom Cruise.
If you're Tom Cruise, I'm Iceman then, all right? I'm Iceman.
That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. I still have a career. I'm good.
That's right. And I guess I could be your wingman too because I'm married. So like,
That's probably a good idea.
That's probably for the best.
Is your wife like behind you like right now?
No. She's probably gonna like open up the door upstairs, like, what are you talking about down there? What you got going on?
All the right things.
That's right. That's right. So, folks, if you guys are unfamiliar with, SmiteTalk, SmiteTalk is a weekly show, airs every Sunday at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern, right here on twitch.tv/SmiteGame. And what this is an opportunity for you as a community to have an outlet for your voice. So, we're going to bring up, little plug there, very nice. We're going to bring up a variety of different topics. We have some stuff to talk about, but, outside of that, it's completely open. It's kind of like that radio show where you can go ahead and call in and just talk about stuff. So if you want to call in and talk about Arachne, talk about Mercury, talk about Arena, talk about Assault, whatever, complaints, things you're happy with, changes you'd like to see happen, feel free. Go ahead and call in. We use a program called Raid Call, very similar to like TeamSpeak or Ventrilo, but it gives us the ability to go ahead and have our live show going, and then we can drag you down into the channel. There's a bunch of different queues. For example, you start out in the lounge. Then I will send you a message, an IM message that says, hey, I want to make sure your audio is set up. Make sure that's all good to go. Don't want to pull you in. So you'll get put into a queue. And then I'll put you into the on deck. And then I'll say, hey, you ready? And then I'll pull you in. And you'll be live on the show. So it's very much off the cuff, off the hip type of style. And we appreciate you coming out to hang out with us. So let's go ahead and jump into it. FG,
wow.
Let's just jump into it. What are we talking about today? Give us a rundown. What do we got?
You want me to do all the things that we're talking about, or the first thing we're talking about? Wait.
Why don't you give us the first thing we're talking about? Go for it.
God discussion. One of my favorite things to do. favorite things to do. And I always kind of preface this that we always talk about the most overpowered gods and the most underpowered gods and the gods that are annoying us the most. But we always kind of forget all those gods that are in the middle. We're at what? With Sylvanus, is 58 gods now, I think? It's 58.
Yeah, we're going to talk about Sylvanus? I saw you with your hack. I talked to you with your hack together reveal video. I saw that.
You like that? Those are actually not easy to do.
I watched it and I was like, that poser couldn't even wait for it to come out for PTS.
But I digress.
Yep.
But I like to talk about the gods that are kind of in the middle. Ep.33 says I'm kind of quiet because Octane hates me.
Yep.
He doesn't like me to be loud because I go from like up. I do this with my volume. I do this because it's just the way it is.
You're loud enough now. Trust me. You're good. You're good.
All right. So today's god discussion is for a little guy by the name, or a little dog, I would say,
little guy
by the name of Anubis. Anubis is a very, very interesting god in Smite. He's one of those gods that you play from like level 1 through 29, and you think you are the best Smite player to ever play the game. Like, you're doing pentakills.
You are so right, though.
Like,
you're so right.
The man going like 22-3, and you're like, why am I not on a pro team? All I gotta do is play Anubis, and I destroy everyone. But then something happens. You get to level 30. Yeah. And you realize,
and you find out, wait, no one knows who Anubis is. Who's Anubis? I don't understand. That's what you find out.
No one plays him. But I mean, he has some really cool things about his kit. I mean, he's a god that you can play in mid. He has 2 clears, right? He has his 3, which is probably his only good ability besides his mummify, I would say, as far as just being safe with it. You throw your 3, you walk off. It's kind of like a Kukulkan number 3. Really, really good ability. But then you have his Lotus Form, I think is the name of the ability, where he stands there stationary and blows.
Oh, you really should
in your face.
Oh, I can't wait to. Okay, keep going. We'll talk about it. Go for it.
And I think a lot of people just don't realize once you get to level 30, being stationary is not any good at all. And it translates to his ult as well. With his ult, you're all or nothing, right? If you want to contribute to a team fight, you plant yourself down and you commit. There's nothing else you can do. There's no like tricks of the trade. There's no like bobbing and weaving or setting up your ultimate in creative ways. You sit there and you point and you hope that you have enough penetration and enough magic damage to win. And unfortunately with Anubis, that's kind of, I don't know how to fix Anubis because you can't just make him move on all of his abilities because then it's like, ugh. Moving in that ult is kind of too powerful, but being stationary is not strong. I mean, what do you think about Anubis? Do you feel like he's okay as like a starter god? Do you want to see him in level 30 high-end play? Do you want to see him in SPL one day? Or is he okay with just being a starter god? Just some guy you play to love the game and then transition to other people?
So I think you definitely were super accurate with Anubis. I know I can agree. I played Anubis, 1 through that 29 stage. Now, granted, when I was leveling up, that was like August 2012. So your options for mages were very limited. It was like Ra, Anubis, Agni. That was it? I don't know. I'm trying to think what.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't have that many. Like, and so you were, Ra back then was very traditional. Your middle laner, Agni, and Anubis. Like, those were your traditional middle laners. You didn't have a solo lane then. You had dual lane left, dual lane right, and lanes, solo lane. Yeah. There was no jungler until like Bumba's Mask really hit. So with that in mind,
like Anubis used to be so much fun back
all
then.
right, not promoting my YouTube, but I definitely have a YouTube video completely dedicated to the tossback mummify. Tossback mummify. It's so much fun. It's exactly like Sobek and Cupid, where it's like toss back heart bomb, toss back heart bomb. So it's the same thing, but with the fact of having the mummify. And so I played Anubis, during that stage or whatever. And this was before Combat Blink, keep in mind. So you were very committed in team fights with Anubis. It was very, glass cannon, taking that WoW term, glass cannon without a doubt. Anubis hit like a truck, but also when you committed, you pretty much were in it. So talking about some of the things you talk about, like abilities and stuff like that, I feel like I'd like to, we talked about some of his abilities. I'd like to see some of them more mobile. I feel like with Anubis, he isn't played because his health is like that, and he melts so quickly. And you're not picking up.
Hades melts, and he's a guardian, right?
And it's not like you're not picking up.
When you're stationary, you're screwed.
You're not picking up like breastplate or anything like that for Anubis. Like that's not something that you build into your kit really. So with that being said, I wouldn't mind some mobility on him. The forced combat blink that some players will play, especially 1 through 29 on Anubis, is just because he doesn't have an out. And 1 through 29, most people are relying very heavily on that disengage or that leap, or that dive with like your Sobek or your Hades. So I wouldn't mind some more mobility on Anubis, to be honest with you. Are you against the fact of being able to move while he's casting some of his abilities? His ultimate should require stationary, and I still believe that. So the ultimate the amount of damage that you get out of Anubis' ultimate, I think requires you to commit some into the engagement. So what do you think about mobility there?
I think his kit's pretty decent. Like his ultimate, I would keep the same. His 3, I would keep the same. His Mummify, I would keep the same. I guess what you could do is something similar to like Nuwa's Fog on his Swarm, and maybe do something like that. Because I mean, it's called a Swarm, right? So
yet it doesn't move.
It doesn't move. So maybe if they change that so he doesn't breathe it out of his mouth and he just kind of just swarms it at people, I could see something like that.
Yeah.
Bringing Anubis to the forefront. Like he'd probably be too powerful with something like that. Maybe, but. Just like someone's saying in the chat right now, not all gods need to be competitive.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that. I'm not saying
that. I go back and forth on that. I really do go back and forth about that. I think
you couldn't though, because the way the meta shifts, a god is very popular in the competitive scene, but then shifts out. For example, Ares was played this past week in the SPL. Ares is not traditionally a guardian god that we do see selected. We saw him played. He did well. It doesn't mean that he has to be top 3 pick at all times. It's just gods fall in and out of the meta based on a lot of the pro scene strategies and also based on current nerfs and buffs that occur to them. Like for example, Mercury, even though the change that we are seeing, with his ability, is going to make him a little less viable as a solo laner, but he's still going to be playable regardless of any. There's no meta shift there. It's just within solo lane, he's still going to shift back to being an available ADC and an available jungler.
Yeah, and I agree with that. And I guess what I mean by competitive, I don't mean like top pick, top ban. I just think that he has to be he has to be counter pickable. Like if someone picks something, I can't even give you a good example of what Anubis is good against right now. But let's just say, for example, he's really good against. God, is he good against anybody?
I mean, Anubis, you could find Anubis find some cool little niche in the competitive scene. For example, more recently we're seeing Nemesis with Wrath of the God, Hand of the Gods. I'm sorry, where you can stun, and then you have a raw coordination. So like Nemesis stuns, and then raw ults directly behind it, and it's this cool little niche between the two of them.
Sure.
Where it something like that you could see. I'm just thinking out loud. Some coordination with his like Mummify and another ultimate doing well together. It's just, I mean, I love to be like, hey, Correct, tell us why Anubis isn't viable, and
Yeah.
he'll be like,
Well,
well,
someone in the chat was saying that Anubis counters Loki pretty decently, and I can kind of see that. So that's what I mean.
But
by
that would require
Loki,
require a combat blink though, because if Loki jumps on Anubis, you're dead.
Yeah. Or you just life steal it out. Best man standing. But that's Anubis, and I think he's a cool god. I also, not even talking about his abilities, I want to see him get a remodel. Maybe not even a remodel, maybe a touch up as far as just graphically. Maybe just give him the Ares treatment, not necessarily the Kali treatment, because he his new card looks fantastic. But then you kind of look at that skin, and it's kind of like, it could look a lot better. So another thing I would like to see Anubis is just a new model, just a touch up.
Really?
A little Xbalanque, a little Ares, a little Thor, not a Kali.
I don't mind it.
Just a touch up.
I think you can make Anubis look a little more badass than what he does. Right now he looks like
sure.
Like Anubis right now looks like, now granted some of his skins are very appealing. The Stargazer one is awesome. Awesome. It's pretty much the Stargate SG1 skin. Like, come on now, let's be honest here. But like that, I feel like that, I like to see a Hades treatment where that replaces his current skin.
Stargazer?
Stargazer replaces his default skin.
What?
Because when you look at Anubis, right now, he's just like a scrawny little dog, like dog walking on two legs. Like it's nothing attractive and doesn't look badass in any way. I feel like this could be a case where it would apply very well. It keeps to now. Granted, it's more sci-fi, so maybe take that skin and alter it to look more Egyptian and then apply that. How does that sound?
Yeah, okay. So that's better. That was my point there. Like, okay. I'm with you now.
But somebody in chat had a good comment I saw earlier. And guys, we reach out all the time, in the show. We have the opportunity to look at chat. Chat's like, no, Octane, please don't. You'll hear it in like 2 seconds where I fix it. That they said it's a hard balance with Anubis with mobility versus damage, like the amount of damage that he does, and finding that common ground between the two of them. So I can completely understand that without a doubt. So any last comments on Anubis that you have that we want to talk about before we bring in a caller or whatever we got here?
That's it for Anubis. Just enjoy your time from level 1 through 29 and pad your stats. Get your win rate up to like 70% because it'll be coming right back down. Oh, wait a minute. Psycho on Tier Monster, he plays Anubis all the time at a ranked level, and he does actually pretty well with him. So
is he one of those people though? Is he one of those people
okay.
Is he one of those people that only plays that god though? Like example,
Yeah.
like he always plays that person. So that's
like
understandable.
When Pekis just did nothing but new WoW for like 3 months straight. So yeah, he's just like that. Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. Once again, guys, if you guys do want to go ahead and join us, we'll be starting to bring in callers here, talk to them. If you want to join in, go ahead and join Raid Call. Download it, Raid Call, raidcall.com. Create an account. Once you get into Raid Call, make sure you set up your audio within like edit or preferences or something like that. And then once you join the group ID, it's just like a search field. You can type it in, or just type in Smite, and I think you'll find SmiteTalk. You'll join into the Raid Call channel, and I will send you an IM in Raid Call, making sure everything's set up. For example, like there's 2 guys right now in the lounge that I've messaged who haven't responded back yet. So I'm not going to move you into the queue until you've confirmed that you're all set up and good to go. So let's go ahead and we will bring in our first caller. How's it going, caller? Welcome to SmiteTalk.
Hi, how you doing?
Good. So we want to talk about tonight. What do you got?
Well, I have like a question about Guan Yu.
Okay, fire away.
So is this passive ever gonna be reworked?
uh, okay. Well, okay. First response there. We don't work for Hi-Rez, so we can't say it
I know.
will or will not. Do we think it should be reworked? I think is the better question. And what is the current state of Guan Yu? So, FG, what are your thoughts? Current state of Guan Yu and his passive.
Well, just in case people don't know what Guan Yu's passive is, let's talk about it for a second. So Guan Yu's passive is called Painless. Guan Yu gains force of will as he takes damage. Each instance of damage he receives charges up his conviction ability, increasing his healing by 2 times after 20 freaking hits. That's that meter in the bottom left-hand corner of his screen. It gets really, really bloody and it puts a band-aid over itself. And then that's when you know you have the highest quality heal. And Guan Yu's... Go ahead. What were you about to say?
It's called being a man.
Exactly. His old passive was pretty. I forgot what his old passive was called, but it's basically if you were under a tower, if you were close to a tower, you had higher protections, something like that. It was actually pretty cool back then in a different meta, and that doesn't really work too well in today's meta. But I don't know. I don't really have too much of an issue with Guan Yu's passive. I mean, it's not the best, but it's not like old Sobek.
I don't know that Guan Yu.
I don't know.
Personally, to me, I don't know that Guan Yu's issue right now is his passive. I think his issue is his kit. I mean, I forget who. Somebody was talking the other day about Guan Yu actually testing him out in solo. You know, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about Guan Yu right now. I feel like Guan Yu could. I just feel like he doesn't have a place, and I'd be eager to see if like we see more and more people playing him at a competitive level to allow that to trickle down to ranked and casual queue, because you know he kind of does have that. He has the sustain available for solo lane, but like there's always better options for jungle, so you're never gonna play him jungle. You know what I mean? Like you're not gonna see him jungle. He could end up playing solo lane because of the viability, but there's always that comment that people make where, oh, there's always a better god available for that role over Guan Yu. So that's why I'm like, like I want to see somebody make him work, you know, and like a competitive player, it would be the first person I feel like that could do that. What do you think, FG?
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, if you're gonna put a warrior in the solo lane, why not Chalk? You know what I mean? Like.
Yeah.
Chalk does everything that Guan Yu could do, plus better, plus a 37-minute silence. And then you have Guan Yu's ultimate where, even at a pro level, I've seen people, you know, be really, really awkward with his ultimate and missing people and not, you know, deactivating it at the right time. Talu Assault is really good. That's a really, really solid ability. Yeah, I mean, there's just better options in the solo lane. One person pointed out as far as why... Because I just mentioned that the passive was okay, but he mentioned that the fact that his passive is solely tied to one ability, his heal. His passive has nothing to do with the rest of his kit except for his heal. And I can kind of see, I can't think of any other gods off the top of my head that are like that. But on paper, being put on the spot, that doesn't sound very good.
Yeah, I can agree. Caller, what else you got for us? Any other questions?
No, but I have like something to say.
Sure.
Have you ever seen a combo between Ares and Scylla?
Ares and Scylla. Regarding the ultimate and then his ultimate and then her ultimate to follow?
Most hilarious thing you'll ever see in Smite.
Okay. Why is that?
Multiple
like,
chains and multiple heads coming crashing down.
Like, okay, they pull them in, and then you're like, I'm a monster. And then, like, somewhat, you hear, like, you just hear something, you know, it's like streaming, just pentakill.
Yeah, if no one has beads, that's probably pretty bad because probably someone's gonna die. One person's at least gonna die the first time, allowing someone to do it at least 2 or 3 more times, which is crazy. So I've never seen it actually happen.
I think maybe
like, disappeared a little bit.
Maybe more common in like an arena setup where you can see the ultimate from Ares and the Scylla. I just don't, you know. And now, granted, you could get a conquest with a team fight that could turn that around as well. So. You know, not disagreeing there. But, all right, man. Well, thanks for calling in. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Guan's old passive, fortified defense.
Ah, okay.
Everything.
I know. When in doubt, ask Smite Game Chat, because they will get things figured out, which is always great. So, we'll go ahead here. We'll take another call here. Sensei Freedom, we'll go ahead and bring in. Sensei Freedom, welcome to Smite Talk. How's it going? Hello, we heard you for a second there. Sensei Freedom, can you hear us? Hey, there you are. You'll have to mute the stream, and then we can talk. Yay, nay. Yay, nay. Alrighty. Let's go ahead and move on to our next caller. God Tryhard, welcome to Smite Talk. How's it going? I know you're there.
Hey, it's going good.
All right, I'm limiting you to one question this week. What do you got?
True. Okay, so I'm really just talking about Mercury and his nerfs.
Okay. Well, let's talk about it. What do you want to know?
I'm just wondering why they would nerf his range and the radius of his wand so intensely.
Sure, no problem. So we were seeing, Mercury could play phenomenal in jungle. Mercury could play amazing as an ADC, and he could also play really good in solo lane. We talked about this a little bit on Smite Update, and F. had a really good comment regarding the fact that one, they decreased the size of that because of the fact that he was able to completely hit an entire lane of minions. So now he's not able to do that so well. And then on top of that, the distance, so that he has to commit a little bit more of himself to go ahead and do that damage. And so this is making him a little less viable in the solo lane. Is what we're seeing. So from my understanding, it forces Mercury to commit a little bit more, and he's not so easily able to clear lane, and that's anywhere, but clear lane so easily. FG, any thoughts on that as well?
Yeah, you nailed it. I mean, he was too safe at clearing not only the melee minions as well as the archer minions, which is a little too much. Critting them and doing on-hit effects on every single one of them, a little too much. So I can see why they had the nerf, but just like everyone's been saying, it doesn't really have anything to do with his jungle ability. I'm actually one of those people out there that don't level my 1 when I jungle with Mercury. I level my 2. I like speed. I like getting around in places, and I like punching people fast, and it works just fine. It works just fine. So he's going to be just as fine as a jungler. And what I said earlier, he's still going to be a great solo.
No, I don't want him to be.
He's still going to be a fantastic solo.
I don't want him to be.
All you have to do is just build Golden Bow Start. Made you look the archer minions in the back, and then just pop your 2 and just DPS down the melee minions. You'll be just fine. You won't be completely, impervious to damage from, a mile away, but you'll still be fine. Mercury is still going to be a threat. I think people are predicting his death a little prematurely.
So you think that... Okay, here's a question for you. I posted it on Twitter, actually, during one of the SPL games. I said... I don't know, my quote was, I don't know how I feel about Mercury being able to play solo lane so well.
Oh, God, here we go. I have so much to say about this.
And that's why I say, put it out there, because I got some responses from Nantan, got some responses from Pon. Who else? There was quite a few people in here. Zindern. There were a bunch of people that, posted, comments on that. And I guess my thought is to you, I'll actually, God Tryhard, what are your thoughts on, you're the one who called in, what are your thoughts on Mercury being able to play 3 positions so well? If not possibly better than some other gods, which are kind of geared more towards that role.
I don't know really how I feel about it. It's mostly just that I think it's a bit overpowered, because he can jungle amazingly. He is one of the best jungles out there right now. And when he was soloing, he was so good. He was so safe. He could clear anything. And his ADC was awesome. He could burn down anyone.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. I think it was a needed nerf, but I don't think they should have nerfed his, the circle so dramatically. It's rank 3 circle. I think you should have buffed it to, rank 3.5 at least.
Okay, I can understand. Well, thanks for calling in, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Alrighty, so FG, thoughts on my comment? Mercury, we're seeing Mercury right now. If you go ahead and look at a competitive scene, and it's just the easiest thing to base it off of, guys. Competitive scene, we see Mercury do very well. I mean, look at Zalia this past week on Mercury in solo lane. We then see very, very commonly assassins played in jungle, and Mercury played there. But then we also see him being now played more and more as an ADC taking a place of very common hunters and such. So, to you, do you feel someone like Mercury should be able to be played in those roles? I'm trying not to be biased. Played in those roles, and dominate, if not do better than your traditional gods in those roles.
All right, you threw me off when you said dominate. So let me flip the question on you before I answer it.
Go
so
for
let's
it.
say Mercury was just he was just kind of like, you know, he was just kind of middle of the pack at all those things. Would you be okay if he was just kind of like, you know, he's an okay solo, he's pretty decent ADC, and he's a great jungler? Would you have been okay then?
Okay.
Or are you only upset because he dominated all those lanes?
This goes, and this is all opinion, guys. This goes back to the same fact where this past week we saw Ymir play jungle and do amazing at it. And some people are like, that's fine. That's not, I don't like that. And I understand Ymir has such a strong CC kit, which allows him to be such a good jungler when it comes down to ganking. But yet, when you look at it, here's my only problem. I'm fine with it. But Ymir should not do better as a jungler when his kit is geared more towards a guardian aspect, which gives him more CC, more health, than a god like an assassin. So that's where that's where some people argue with me, and they're like, no, it should be great. And part of me is like, really? Like, next we're gonna see Geb playing. Not that we will, but Geb's gonna play jungle next. Like, it throws me off. It throws me off because I don't know how I feel about it. Part of me, I like it. I like the diversity. I like the way that it's going. But part of me is like, I don't like it because now every god's a hybrid, like where gods can be played everywhere. So that's what kind of throws me off. It adds to strategy. It makes things more creative. Definitely throws off the competitive scene. But I don't know how I feel about it. What are your thoughts? What do you got?
Well, when it comes to Ymir, so he's strong.
No, we didn't get on top of the Mercury. Yo, you didn't even give us your opinion on Mercury. God.
I think Mercury is fine because I love Nisha. And Nisha can do all the same things that Mercury did. And he needs his time to shine, darn it. But I'm okay with an ADC being able to be I'm okay with an assassin being able to be an ADC. I'm okay with him being able to be a soloer. And I'm okay with him performing really well in those lanes because what about Chalk? Chalk can do it. Chalk can be a great support. He can be an ADC if you really wanted to. He can play mid, he can jungle, he can solo. I think that's fine. I think the fact that exists causes, you see this in pros because it's totally, you can actually build around it. Yeah. Like when you do it in the casual queue, it doesn't always work out because now you have two squishy assassins. You have an assassin in the solo lane, you have an assassin jungler, and then you end up losing because you have no front line. But I like the fact that people are starting to creatively think outside the box on a lot of things when it comes to tournament level play. And that's what we want to see, right? Everyone talks about the stagnant meta. This switches it up. Like, oh my God. All right. Remember back in the day when they were putting New on the ADC, they were just trying it out, just seeing what would happen. It didn't really work out too well, but a couple people got some wins out of it. Yeah. That's awesome that people can think outside the box. They can throw a Ymir in the jungle. Ymir's strength in the jungle is the fact that he can CC really early, get those early game kills. But he falls off. He's not going to hyper carry your team at the end of the game, though, where you would want a Freya to hyper carry your team in the jungle. So I like the fact that everything is all over the place. I think that's one of the best things about Smite is that anyone can do anything. You can wake up one day and someone is doing Proxy QQ is doing Xbalanque jungle. No one's ever thought of it. No one's ever made it work. And all of a sudden, what? This works? I think it's too cool. I think it's really awesome.
Bring it back a little while back. Let's talk about 6 months, 8 months back. Hi-Rez sent out an email with one of their surveys, which they haven't really done that more recently, I don't think. And one of the surveys this maybe was a year ago. I don't remember. It all merges together. The questions on the survey were very focused on gods, on roles, and hybrid gods. And it was saying, one of the survey had pretty much talked about how, do you want gods to be more, one-to-one with your roles, or do you want to see more hybrid gods? I feel like where we're at in the scene right now and where the items have gone, where the meta has gone, I feel like every god's a hybrid god now. We're like...
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? Like, all of a sudden we can... Like, Ymir playing jungle. Go back like a year... Yeah. Go back like a year and a half ago. You wouldn't be caught dead seeing Ymir playing jungle. So, I'm like, what...
It's I like the fact that you can pick a god and not... have to always, like, I can play Nisha and I can play a different game. If I play 5 games, I could play differently every single one of those games, and I think that's really, really cool
Well,
to be
here
able to pick a favorite god and just kind of be
that's cool. But
versatile.
then go back a little while ago when they made that huge nerf to warriors because
Yeah.
the guardians weren't getting played anymore. So in that role. Well, what's happening here now? You're starting to see like hyper aggressive lanes where you're seeing like a Ram Freya and the guardian's not even get selected, or if the guardian is getting selected, he's going like jungle. Like all of a sudden we're seeing these roles getting swapped around so much where is the age of the guardian starting to be over because of the fact of now we're seeing these weird swaps in the role. Like that's what I'm saying. Like that's what kind of catches me. Like, are we seeing another change here that's going to be occurring?
We might be seeing a shift, and I know you don't watch basketball, but
no,
the last decade,
basketball's a dead sport. Basketball's a dead
it's
sport.
not a.
Let's be honest. It is
F dot. Are you serious? I'm not even gonna talk about this right now.
He went to sleep. He's not listening. He's not listening. I'm gonna get a message like any minute.
But in the NBA, the big man has started to die off over the last few years. Like the center, like the big 7-foot guy that stood in the middle and everyone passed the ball to him and he scored all the baskets. That's been dying slowly, and people have been kind of thinking outside the box, and that's not necessarily bad for the NBA. And I don't think you always having a guardian support is the end all be all. But I think as long as you need an initiator, guardians are always going to be there, because Nija support, I know I use Nija as an example because he's like the only guy that I use in every lane.
You're like the person that only plays Anubis. It's the same thing. You're the same person.
I play other gods.
You're terrible. You're terrible.
But you put Nija in the support role, it works during the laning phase, but when it's time to fight at the fire giant and contest, no one wants to go in first because you're all squishy. So I think Guardians will always have their place in Smite, just because no one else wants to start a fight. Frey and Rom don't want to start a fight. They want to clean up a fight. So I don't think Guardians are going to go anywhere. They're just too needed.
That's fine. You just got a jungler Ymir. You're good to go.
Well, yeah, you can jungle Ymir. I mean, the laning phase I don't think really matters. I don't like the fact that people want the laning phase to be stagnant. Mage mid, warrior solo, jungle assassin. I think that's it doesn't make any sense to me. I don't mind all those roles switching around, because at the end game, at the 25-minute mark, we're all a team now. Everyone's out of the lanes now. We're all roaming together. So it doesn't really matter, in my opinion. In my opinion.
All right, let's move on here. Modern State. Let's go ahead and bring Modern State on. Modern State, welcome to Smite Talk. How's it going?
Hey, man. How's it doing?
Going good. So, what do we want to talk about today?
I was literally just enjoying the show, to be fair.
Okay.
I suppose new meta. Let's see. New meta.
Okay.
Okay. Any predictions on the new meta, guys? Next one to be seen.
Okay. Well, we kind of talked a little bit just a few minutes ago about like how the meta shift is occurring, and right now, gods can pretty much play any role. It seems like. Any position, should we say? Not really role, I guess it's position, as people will argue in chat. So, that's a meta shift that we're seeing currently right now. Here's a question, FG. What do you think Sylvanus will do for the meta? Because his style of Guardian is quite different than your traditional Guardian. And is it viable? Like, Sylvanus coming out now, is it going to be like when Kukulkan came out and like people tried him and were like, nope, not going to work because he's not aggressive. He's not aggressive enough, doesn't do the damage. And right now, like hyper aggressive damage is everything right now in almost every role. So what do you think?
Yeah, I don't know if he's going to change the meta dramatically. There's been some really creative things with Sylvanas. I've seen some people talking about him dropping his little plants in all the lanes, like dropping one in solo, dropping one in mid, or as many as he can do, and then basing back and going back into the long lane, like giving the teammate in that lane MP5 while he's not there, just like putting it in a safe place, like under your tower where people can't get to it. Interesting. His AoE splash attack, I think, isn't going to shift as much as people think it's going to shift. I think a lot of people think Shivalanka is going to come back and Cupid's going to come back.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to happen, because on the other side, you could have a Sylvanus and a Rom, somebody that already doesn't have a problem with clearing the lane, plus Sylvanus. Now you're going to get someone with Sylvanus and a poor lane clear. You know what I mean?
That'll help out with Rom's sustained too in lane, because of the fact that
exactly
that pull, just that pull.
And the pool's very, very interesting because it's not like Arachne's pool. Like Arachne's pool is all or nothing. With Rom, you can set it up with your root, or you can bait them out with your root. Let's say you miss your little what is that thing called? Pod, little plant, whatever you throw at people.
It's a little it's a little druid mushroom for a while.
So you throw your cabbage at them, and let's say they juke it. Oh, well, now you can pull them that way because you just baited them into moving one direction and you can root them in another direction. So that's going to be very, very interesting. It's an extremely long cooldown, though. Roundabout, I'm kind of going on a tangent here when it comes to Sylvanus. The fact that he is low damage in the meta versus high damage people like Athena and Bacchus and Geb, I still think he's going to be under those gods. I still think he's stupid strong, but I don't think he's strong enough to dethrone the people that have really good CC and good damage.
Okay. Do you think they're currently combining gods? So say Kukulkan and Sylvanus together in use with a team comp, and then the longer game, so to speak. So maybe not the meta we're currently seeing, but maybe a meta of the future.
Like a double guardian type game?
Yeah, possibly.
Octane will love that. Just throw Kukulkan in the jungle. It's fine. It's perfect.
We'll probably see him there anyway. Lassus has been playing him jungle now because, it's, like, whatever. Might as well throw him in there. Now that he has that stun, the 1.5 second stun moving forward. Could be
he's getting up there.
Could be a possibility. Increasing his attack speed now, 1.5 second stun. You never know.
I have no information about this, but I think someone at Hi-Rez just thought it was super cool, and I agree. Having someone that uses 2 shields, that's like so unorthodox, right? Typically you have like a sword and a shield. You got this big guy using 2 shields. They released him to the game and he wasn't really good. Someone's like, no. This concept is too cool for people not to use him. We're going to make Kukulkan work. We're going to buff him every single patch until people start using him. I think that's what's happening with Kukulkan.
Okay. Well, Modern Saint, thanks for calling in. I appreciate it.
No worries, anytime.
Oh my word! All right, let's go ahead. You want to do emails or?
I want to rant for 2 seconds.
All right, rant. Go for it.
All right, sorry. So on the third thing, I'm gonna skip the second. Oh, we already talked about the second thing.
Yeah, we kind of talked about the second thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to talk about Heartseeker for a second because I was just playing a game today, and I want to know chat's thoughts. I want to know your thoughts. So if you're not familiar with Heartseeker, everybody in chat. You get Heartseeker at the 3rd level. Oh, you tell them. Go ahead. I want to see your knowledge. You play support.
Heartseeker has fallen off, to be honest with you.
Sure.
From what I've noticed in the current meta, it is quite fallen off to a point where, traditionally when you're not seeing Heartseeker picked up, a lot of times now, like you'll see like death tolls or demo gloves, and then you go into your warrior tabby and then into executioner. Whereas previously you've seen, let's go back, months, whatever, you've seen Heartseeker very early on. Not really first at all, but really second, third, maybe pushing it now. But in the current meta, I feel like Heartseeker has fallen off quite a bit, very traditionally with a lot of ADCs for sure. What are your thoughts where Heartseeker's at right now? You're the one who brought it up, but I'm not seeing it. It's kind of fallen off more and more, and I'd be interested, like pro player in chat or whatever, just kind of their opinion as to why Heartseeker is not as popular as it was in the past right now.
Well, the game is sped up so much that you are pretty much guaranteed to die at this point. You know what I mean? Like the game has just gotten to the point where people, if they want to kill you, if they want to lock you down, they will kill you, and then there goes half your stacks.
Yeah.
And that is just not reliable enough in that sense. In casuals, if you know you're going to get someone that you feel like you're better than, and you get Heartseeker, you're going to get ahead, you're going to have more power, you're going to have more movement speed. But when it comes to tournament level play, I think you're going against people that are almost as good as you. They're going to get kills on you, and you're always going to be behind trying to stack that up. But I was playing a game today with Apollo, and I got Heartseeker started. And
when did you pick it up? When did you pick it up?
I was playing Siege, so I bought it as soon as I left the base.
Oh, really?
In Siege, you can buy level 3 right out the box. You can get level 3 Heartseeker and 1 blue pot. So I spent the entire game not dying with Heartseeker, and then I died once. And I lost half my stacks.
That's still worth it, though. You died once the entire game. It worked out well. That's probably not as. That's probably yeah. That's not really gonna happen all the time.
But now I'm weaker.
Yes.
I was thinking to myself while I was playing the game. This is why I want to get your opinion. I feel like, let's say I get 50 stacks of Heartseeker and I die 1 second afterwards. I feel like I should lose half my stacks. But what if I get 50 stacks of Heartseeker and I play 15 minutes without dying?
You want it based on time.
I think there should be a time.
I do not agree at all. I do not agree at all.
Tell me why.
All right, here's why. Heartseeker
and the same thing with Do More. Do More, same thing.
Okay, both excellent items, amazing items. They're really, really good. But I like items that come with risk, and that's what these items are. It is a risk. You take the time to go ahead and build up these items, and they're awesome. They're very, very good. The damage is there. I mean, they're great when they are fully stacked. Like, you could have 5 of these items. It'd be unbelievable. But the thing is, you're playing with risk. And that's where it makes it such a valuable item. And that's why the thing is, too, if you remember, go back a while ago. Remember when, like, Heartseeker was real big, and it was like, oh, FG's got Heartseeker. We're focusing him first. You know what I mean? Like, we need to gank him first in order so it's hard. Because think of it. When you're playing in, like, a Conquest game, for example, and someone picks up Heartseeker, and you get, like, a triple gank, you know, let's say 2 in dual lane with your jungle, so your gank there, and you take that out, oh my gosh, the other ADC is so far ahead then. 1, because of the time in the lane, but 2, if they don't have Heartseeker, or even they do, you know, it's just, it's a great item because it's great risk for great reward. So that's why I'm okay with it. The scaling that you're looking for, I don't think should be necessary. I don't think it should be. I don't think it should be an option. I don't think that as the game goes on, you're rewarded for having Heartseeker and losing less. It makes it almost think of like Heartseeker mid game, and if you've been ganked enough, people even consider selling it at some points and swapping it out because of how far behind you end up getting more and more. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can see that. I don't see your exact problem with my stacks. Instead of losing half, I kept it for 10 minutes online, so now I lost 10 stacks. You know what I mean? I don't see the intrinsic problem with that, because if I'm playing well, I'm being safe, why am I penalized for someone that is dying repeatedly?
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay. If you wanted to go that route, you could make the item more expensive, but then would mean that you wouldn't get it so early on, and it would have to be later. Because if you kept it at the same price, it's like late game, it'd be great. You know, early game, you're still, you know, you still hit that, but late game, it's like, wow, like, you know, this item only loses a little bit. You go what? Hit 2 camps, all of a sudden you're back up to where you were, like, and maxing it out. Like, that's why I'm like, you know, if you were to do that, you would have to see a price like 3K plus.
Then you wouldn't buy. You would just buy Transcendence or something.
Problem solved. Moving on.
I hear you.
All right, let's go ahead. Next customer. Welcome PH Scale to SmiteTalk. How's it going?
It's going good. It was like 30 seconds behind you on the stream, so that caught me by surprise.
That's okay. I understand. So what do you want to talk about today?
I called in because we were talking about Anubis a little earlier.
Yep.
Okay, so I have recently taken a liking to Anubis. I am level 30. I'm not 1 through 29 like you guys were saying. But I do have some opinions I'd like to share.
Go for it.
Let's talk about his 1. You guys are saying that maybe he should be able to move, is what you guys were saying, right?
Okay. Yeah, it'd be fun.
Or throw it. Move or throw it, something like that. Yeah.
Move or throw. I kind of disagree with it because.
How dare you? No, I'm kidding. Go ahead. Please continue.
All right, guys. I disagree with it because I think it's a very high damage output ability, and that's what Anubis is. That's what he needs, particularly for his passive with lifesteal. If you don't get something, if he doesn't have high damage output, then his lifesteal is going to be pretty much useless.
True, yeah.
So in order to balance that, I think he needs to stay still and still be able to output all the damage that he has.
Okay. Now, what are your thoughts on, you know, where Anubis is at currently, though, with, you know, the amount of damage he can put out, but his sustain is terrible. You know, is that okay? I mean, because if that's okay, then you're okay with the current state of Anubis and where he is in the game.
I think I'm okay with this current state of Anubis, and I don't find him hard to sustain. He's pretty easy to sustain. Like, all you have to do is get a Bancroft's Talon, and you can pretty much heal half your health off of one minion wave.
What I mean is I'm sorry, you're correct there. What I mean is that it's more of his disengage or ability to escape. You know, because look at Anubis versus other gods that you would play. Like Anubis, you'd probably play mid. I don't know that you would even consider a solo. You know, look at other gods right now that are being played mid, like your Giannis that's available out there. You know, there's no disengage available for Anubis. So does that force you to get a combat blink, or how are you playing Anubis to give you that sustain from the ganks? Because I mean, once you're on Anubis, you're done. You know, within a few seconds, Loki's got you. Even if you have beads, it doesn't really help. You know, because you can't get far enough away. So what are your thoughts there?
I think a lot of people kind of underestimate or use his 2 incorrectly. I think that is his escape. I think being able to keep somebody in place and you run away is what you need to do in order to get out of situations and disengage. I think he has that capability. It's just not used. If you want to slow someone down, then you would probably use your 3 and just slow them down, catch up to them. Then if you know you're safe, you can use your 2 and stop him, or use your 1, put the damage out, whatever you need.
Okay. FG, what do you think? What do you think on some of the points?
I think it has nothing to do with Anubis's kit. Like, his kit on paper sounds fantastic, and I think his kit worked really, really well like 2 years ago. But I just feel like all the mages are becoming more and more mobile.
Yep.
Right? They're having like Nuwa, even though she's not super mobile, she has a disengage where she's CC immune and she goes up in the air. She's out of combat. You can't touch her, right? She has the ability to go invisible. She can move fast. She has a stun like almost on demand. The game is shifting where mages are not only mobile, they can still put out tons of damage like Anubis does, right? Scylla damage, Hebo damage, Poseidon damage. They have all this damage that they can put out, and they're still mobile. I just don't feel like Anubis. Well, and his ultimate is his only mobility, and if you're in front of it, you're pretty much screwed. But I digress. I just feel like people are starting to move faster. Everyone is moving faster in this game, and I just feel like you having not 1 stationary ability, 2. You have like 2 damage abilities that keep you stationary. It just feels like during a team fight, you are an instant target. If you start ulting and someone throws a tornado on top of you, what do? You stop your ultimate? Now what? You just wasted your ultimate, or you just took a ton of damage and died. You know what I mean? I don't know. During his laning phase, he's fantastic.
Kill or be killed. So it's I think that's kind of how he's balanced. Is he has huge damage output and a lot of risk. And Octane Pro was saying he likes items with risk. Well, what about characters with risk?
Yeah, that's a good point. It's absolutely a good point. And I think when you talk about Hi-Rez's like focus lately, I think they are starting to shift that whole risk reward type thing. Because there was a time where assassins didn't all have leaps, but it seems that now Hi-Rez wants all assassins to have a leap or an escape. Like, they want every single person to have that, because they feel like the game has shifted to the point where in order to be viable in this faster paced game, an assassin has to have a leap, or he has to have some type of dash out. You know what I mean? So I feel that's kind of the same way with the mage meta, but I could be wrong. Do you
think right after, we had the Age of Warriors, was kind of like what I like to call it. Do you think we're at an age now? This is a question for you, PH Scale. Do you think we're at an age now where it's the age of mobility, where that's kind of the common meta right now, is the mobility, because it seems like, kind of what FG had talked about, with just having the escapes, having the engages, being able to rotate super quick, especially like Giannis now. You have your Giannis, your Apollo, your Thor, Geb, all these gods that have the ability to rotate lanes so quickly. Do you think we're at an age now of mobility?
Well, Apollo and Thor have been in the game for a long time, longer than I've been in the game. And Geb, yeah, he's got a decent amount of mobility, but he's been in them for a while too, and didn't change anything for a long time while he was there. Giannis is the only one that has really come on the scene as things have started to become more mobile. What I think it is now, instead of being the warrior meta where everybody is playing warriors in a bunch of different roles, now it's assassins that they're doing that. Mm-hmm. And we kind of talked about that already in the show.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. What do you think, FG? Where do you think? I was going to try to bring up brackets just from like today. Oh, there's an early brag. Oh yeah, I can go to the Challengers Cup. What are your thoughts, FG? What do you got? What are your thoughts on that mobility comment?
I think overall, and a lot of people have their difference of opinion. I think overall, Hi-Rez is really good when it comes to balance, and I think they kind of see these shifts happen. Unfortunately, when it comes to power creep, it creeps up on you. That's why they call it power creep. So
oh, really?
It's kind of just. You're welcome. So there was an age of mobility that was happening where everyone was getting more and more fast, and then just like the chat said, now you have Sylvanus, who is the opposite of mobility.
Yep.
But they gave him things to take away other people's mobility. You know what I mean? So I like the fact that Hi-Rez is really attentive to how their game shifts. And they're doing things like, maybe we need another character like Ares in the game, someone else that takes away your ability to move. Sylvanus is a great start. So I don't think I feel confident with Hi-Rez that the mobility age will get out of control.
Okay. Well, PH, thanks for calling in. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, I just had to sneeze. So I was like, I'm going to sneeze off camera. So I muted myself and I sneezed. And I cracked my back at the same time. I was like, oh!
Wow.
I was like, oh!
Old man octane.
Oh. So that's why I'm shifting in my chair. Hey, don't start the trolls. You're what? How old are you? You're
74, but I use cocoa butter.
74?
And, I keep it nice.
Of course you. Oh, my word. You're what, 20, 25?
Oh, my word.
26, 27? How old are you?
I'll just let the speculations rise.
Yeah, how old are you?
All I know is that I don't use old people phrases, and we'll keep it like that. Next topic.
I hate you. I hate you. All right, let's go ahead and we will. Let's take an email. Those of you guys that
pull up the emails.
don't have an opportunity to go ahead and call in, you can email us SmiteTalk@gmail.com. And let's go ahead here, see what we have. I need to clear out some of these.
While you're doing that, I'll just go through chat and stuff. And
sure, go through chat, see what they got. All right, so this one here.
Oh, wow, you found one already. Never mind.
This one's from Quazboxy. First part of the question is, I really want to have a rank 10 god, but I get really bored of playing the same character. FG could tell you all about that. But not as I don't like them. If you could give any advice on how to stick to a god, that would be awesome in order for me to get rank 10. So it looks like their goal is to stick to rank 10 and still have it be fun and entertaining. I think the solution is do what FG does and play them in every role so you never get bored.
That, or you just haven't the right gods out of the game yet. I think that's probably a better answer. You got to rank 10 on Ymir because you liked playing Butter Ymir. That was your god. You actually enjoyed playing him. You get to diamond on gods that you actually like, you know what I mean? You don't have to, just because you think a god looks cool, that's not your god if you only think it looks cool and you don't want to actually play it until diamond. I got Neef to diamond because I loved me some Neef. I love Neef. I loved Nuwa, even though I didn't get her diamond. But you know what I mean? I don't think that's your god yet. I think your god isn't in the game yet, because if it was, you would have it at diamond by now.
Yeah. It's funny though, because a lot of gods that I played before they were even tracking, before there were worshippers in the game, I never got credit for them. So for example, Odin, I think if you still go look at my stats, let me look real quick. Let's look it up here. Hang on. I think Odin is still a year and a half later after, still my top played god, showing that how much I played Odin back, early, when I started playing, it was August 2012. Let's look here. I want to look and find out.
I'm on my way.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so let's look, guys.
Go ahead and post that link in chat so everybody can take a look at it.
All right, I'll post my stats here in a second. Hang on here. It's being goofy. Here's the stats page. And then I'm looking myself up. You guys can look yourselves up there as well if you want. Where is it? Let's go to Odin. Odin. Where is it? Does it only give it to you? Does it only give it to you in game now with the? Okay, Odin. Okay. Yeah. See the stats. Oh, doesn't allow you to. Okay, the stats are not as extensive then as in game. I'd have to look again.
Womp womp.
It'll tell you in game. But anyways, talking more upon that. I don't even know. How do we get on that topic? Oh, we're talking about gods and getting them to rank 10 and stuff like that. Yeah, I really wish that they would have gone back and pulled the stats from like and converted that into worshippers and then given us players credit for people that originally started out. So, for example, those of you guys not familiar, worshippers were not always in the game. And so for people that started playing the game very early on, when worshippers first came out, it was like, oh, wow, now I have to grind out play with these gods all over again.
Yeah.
And it was like, dang.
It was a big stink back then.
It was like, come on now. So, like, it kind of sucked. All right, I'm in-game now.
I remember, like, I just stopped playing. Once they released the patch list about that happened, I stopped playing until the patch happened.
Okay, so my top played god is Ymir at 13%, which I have mastered. Right below that, Odin, 11%. I can't tell you the last time I played Odin. That was probably a year and a half ago. So, like, I played Odin nonstop, like, as a support. Back then, he was very viable as a support. Comboed very well with Zeus. That was, like, the age of, like, Odin, Zeus.
That was.
Now, you have to remember, though, back then, every other god didn't have a disengage. Blink wasn't in the game. And that was when Odin was, like, chase happy and had to chase around type of deal. So, like, that's when I played Odin a ton. Now, granted, Odin's now in that warrior state now, especially with the rework. But who were some of the gods FG that you played back then? Because when did you start playing?
I played right when Vulcan came out, so I'm not super old school. When Vulcan came out, that's when I started playing. But I used to play a ton. That was my 1 through 29 guy with Sobek, because I was always I didn't know the trick of typing my role before the Q popped and then pressing enter. So I always got stuck with support. So I was like, screw it, I'll just be a really good.
By the way,
player.
you started March 7, 2013.
Thank you, buddy.
You're welcome.
So I played a ton of Sobek, and now, dude, I don't play support ever. People always ask me, like, they'll look at my stats and be like, hey, make a YouTube video of Sobek. I see he's like your second most played god. Like, no, I don't play Sobek anymore.
I'm retired. That's funny.
No
funny.
more of that.
Why did I call Zeus a hunter? I don't recall Zeus. Somebody in chat's like, he's not a guardian. I know he's not
Zeus
a guardian.
Was basically a hunter in the double lane meta back.
Correct.
Then.
Back then, you didn't have the way you just had dual lane. Like, your gods were just called like dual lane. You know what I mean? So that's the funny thing. Let me go in. We're gonna check out here stats for FG3000. I wanted to see your top play gods. There. Let's see here. Search. All right, so Neith is 9% and Sobek is 6% directly behind it. Then you got Athena, and look at your Naja at 4%. So, like, wow.
He's up and coming. Nija is my new WoW replacement.
I can see that. And it looks like, too, like, your role looks like 28% is mage.
Yeah, really? I don't even play mages. I don't like mages. I don't even like mages. That's the funny thing about stats, man.
And then you have assassins, hunters, and then guardians, and then finally warriors. It looks like for you.
Yeah.
And man, talk about matches played, man. You're 73% conquest. That is a lot.
Pro life.
What am I at
pro
right
life.
now? All right, I'm at a nice even 50%. 50. And then
you would probably be higher if do they count custom? They don't count custom.
No, because all I do is play custom. All I do is play custom on a stream. So, like, that doesn't. I mean, unless no, it says normal conquest, so it doesn't consider that at all, which is interesting enough there. We got F dot in chat. Guess we shouldn't talk about basketball now.
He missed out, man. He missed out. I needed him here when I did my NBA analogy.
That's right. That's right. All right, let's go ahead and bring Blaine in. Blaine, welcome to SmiteTalk. How's it going?
Hi, I'm good.
What do you want to talk about today?
I got a few bullet points. For
Go
example,
for it.
The only thing that needs to change with Anubis is his model, and that he needs some fur.
Some what? I'm sorry. What was the second part?
Fur.
He needs some fur.
Oh. All right.
He looks
I'll
like
go
a
with that.
skin dog.
So you don't like his current default skin as well, then?
It's kind of boring and plain and muddy.
Muddy, interesting.
It is muddy. Like it, yeah. Okay. It looks like an old Nintendo 64 game.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't looked at it that closely.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's good to know. What other bullet points you got?
I'm really disappointed that Thor's ultimate is basically a Marvel comic.
Okay. Because he comes up in the air and comes down and hits the ground, or what do you mean?
Yeah, it looks like Thor from the Avengers.
Okay.
It's
Now,
not lore based at
I'm
all.
not one to follow lore very closely. What would you traditionally see? Would you see like lightning or like a lightning strike per se, or what would you see more closely to the lore?
Yeah, that would be way better. Or that he uses goats or rams instead. That would have been awesome.
I think if Hi-Rez released Thor today, it'd probably be closer to it. Like back then, it was a little bit different. Like you take old Wukong for example, they didn't really, the lore wasn't really too big of a thing back then and for Smite. You know what I mean, Octane? Like they put Wukong out there like this guy is going to be a party animal. He's gonna sing Happy New Year.
Yeah,
and-
it was more
You know
for
what I
the.
mean?
Yeah, I can agree there. Right now, like if you look at the gods that are released now, they're very very close
Like
to
they
lore.
do a lot more.
Like look at
research.
Alquang. They went ahead and completely pulled Alquang out in order to get more accurate lore base for him. Look at Nuwa. Nuwa had that rework to be a little closer to it. So yeah, I mean, maybe
I
it
think
had.
if Thor came out tomorrow, he would be what you're saying. He would probably have a lot more thunder and lightning, and he probably wouldn't have some of those abilities now. And he'd probably be really different, but he's too iconic now.
Would his ultimate fit the rest of his kit though, if you changed it? And that it's Thor. I don't know the lore of Thor. I mean, is it very common that he's like flying up in the air type of deal, or no? I mean, I know what I see from the Marvel. So like that's my question from Marvel. Like that's my thing. Like, do we see him up in the air? Because I feel like that's a fun part of playing Thor is having that ability for gank purposes.
Yeah, well, in my opinion, the ultimate is kind of fine, but it would have been better if he used a goat or a ram to fly up in the air and then strike down, for example.
See, I don't even see. The funny thing is, like, I just follow the Marvel side of things. Like, I don't even know like that type of stuff. So, like, what is that? Tell us a little bit about like the lore there that you're referring to a goat or a ram. Like Stream saw it too. Like, I like cocked my eyebrows a little bit because I was like, wait, did you say goat or ram? Like, what are you talking about? So, give us a little more details for those that don't know.
Well, it's very simple. If you just Google Thor, you will see multiple pictures of him riding a chariot with 2 goats or rams in front of it.
Okay. All I see is a very handsome man that looks very fit right now in the Thor Marvel comics. I'm kidding. Okay. Let's see here if I can find some more. Okay, I found one where it has like it's almost Apollo but with the rams in the front. Is what I'm seeing. Interesting. See, I did not know about this. I'll be honest with you. Interesting. I wonder if they had like Apollo in mind and that's why they didn't do the chariot thing again. Because would it be too much to have 2 gods with a chariot?
Yeah, I kind of think so. But still, I want the lore.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, and like I said, just kind of, I guess, shutting this question down. I think just Hi-Rez back then, when they were making gods back then, it was just totally different mentality. And I think going forward, all gods, and I say all gods, I'm going to be like, someone's going to put me on.
Don't dig yourself a grave. Don't dig yourself a grave there.
I think that going forward, gods are going to be a lot. They're going to have something out of their lore into their kits, and they've been doing a really good job about that lately.
Yeah, sure. Well, thanks for calling in, Blaine. I appreciate it. That was quite interesting.
No problem.
Thank you. See, you learn something new every day. See, I didn't even know that stuff.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
That's good. That's good to know. Let's go ahead and take another email, and then we'll grab another caller here. Let's see here.
It's kind of like when Guan Yu got remodeled, and they're like, no, he has to have a horse in his kit somehow. So,
woo, got him out.
It's a different company now.
Yeah. All right, so this person is pushing a... They emailed me a million times. This is an email from Evan. He says, new god idea. The god would be Medusa. And Medusa would be a guardian. Oh my word. Can you imagine another guardian, a third guardian in a row after it just got 2? So guardian.
Yeah, people would lose their minds.
First ability, turn to stone. Stun, thin shot. I don't know what that means. But they turn to stone, so it's like a stun. Second ability is tail whip. Knock up AoE around her. So I guess that's kind of like Sobek, for example. Let's see. Serpent Assault. Wide straight line. Okay, I guess that's like damage. And finally, the ultimate Venomous Strike. Small AoE if hit you hit again, so it's like a second one. Up to 9 times, X9, I guess. Passive, +5 protections on each ultimate hit. Oh, okay. So it's a small AoE. You can hit up to 9 times. If you hit once, you get to hit again, but the passive works with the ultimate. Passive, +5 protections on each ultimate hit, 9 stacks, resets on another ultimate use. You lose those stacks. So it's pretty much based off of, like, he has more protections based off of how many times he has hits his ultimate accurately. Or she, I'm sorry, with Medusa. What do you think? Do we, let's look down the road. Do you think a Medusa Guardian could work like this?
I mean, it makes sense. I think Medusa Guardian, because in her lore, she turns people into stone.
Yeah.
That sounds like heavy CC.
But that could be a root. CC, that could be like a root kind of style, like Scylla, though, which is a mage.
Yeah, that's a good point. But then she's always shown with this bow and arrow. So I guess she could be a mage that shoots arrows. I don't know. I like chat when people were like, hypothetical Medusa seems OP.
Nerf Medusa.
I think it can go all over the place. Some people are saying assassin. Some people are saying doesn't look like a guardian because I guess she's typically like almost stark naked, isn't she? Like she just is like she's basically dressed like Nuwa almost every time I see her. I don't know. These things are so interesting. There's like a whole Reddit dedicated to like god concepts. I never visit it. I'm sorry. I never go there.
Why not? Jeez, you are that guy.
Too much of a tease. I'll just wait until it comes out in the game.
All right, let's go ahead and bring another caller in here. Jeez. Suicidal.
I'm a buzzkill. I'm sorry.
Suicidal Giraffe. Welcome to SmiteTalk. How's it going?
It's going pretty good.
So what do we want to talk about today?
I wanted your guys' opinions on, maybe they could think about separating items from classes.
Okay.
Yes.
No. I'm sorry. So give us more opinion.
I'm speaking more of like, should Ymir be allowed to buy Rada Tahiti? Should hunters be allowed to buy chin size?
Oh wait, no.
I knew that she was going to say that.
Why don't you pay attention to the question? Come on. All right. So those of you guys not familiar, some time back, Hi-Rez went ahead and made some changes. So like if you're a physical god, you can't actually purchase magical items. Some people argued this is terrible. Some people argued this is great. So I guess this is moving more in the direction of even making that even stricter in regards to like Rada Tahiti. You can't buy on certain roles. For example, Guardian role, you couldn't buy Rada Tahiti on. What are your thoughts on that, FG?
Yeah, that's really, really iffy. You think it can kind of go both ways. Let's say there's a god that's just unbalanced because of this one ability, because when he buys this weapon, let's say Size, for example, Osiris, for example, you make Size more expensive and it has like a ripple effect to other gods, like Kali, for example. Kali didn't deserve to buy more expensive Size. She has good credit. She should be able to buy Size for a cheaper price because she's Kali. So I can see the thought process of like, you know what? Sorry, Osiris doesn't like kin size because blah, 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 lore, yada, yada, really a gameplay reason, but we'll just say it's lore. Sorry, Osiris can't buy kin size. And what that would have been like, okay, well, Osiris is in a different spot now, and now we don't screw over Kali. I see it, but I think it's just too, it's just too much.
So here's
what I thought he was going to say. I thought he was going to say, like, for example, and I've always thought this is a good idea. Xbalanque is my favorite example of this.
Okay.
Xbalanque has an item that only he can buy, and it's called the Branching Bolas. And when he buys that, he has...
Yeah.
He basically, just him, it's a starter item just for him that makes his attacks bounce without having to activate his bolas. Something like that. I'm just throwing dumb things out there. But he would have an item only for him that would allow him to clear waves better. Because if you put an item in the game that helps hunters clear better, hunters that already clear better, clear even more, better. I know I'm using that word too much. But if you gave it to just Xbalanque, he had a starter item that only he could buy that would help his wave clear. And the same thing with Cupid. You gave Cupid a starter item that's called Spread the Love, and now his Cupid bomb explodes on minions or something like that. I like those ideas. I don't think limiting items is...
Okay, so here's my question for you. let's combine this with what we're seeing right now, where gods right now are currently pretty much super hybrids, where you can play gods anywhere. I constantly come back to Ymir being jungle. Right now, we're seeing Ymir play jungle, but he's being limited by items. Shouldn't Ymir be able to use any item that he'd like to on the board that's available to any god? Because that's our current state. We have gods playing other god traditional roles. So, you're all for it. You said you were. You're like, oh, I'm okay with this type of deal. Well, we're limiting that god to the full potential of that god because of the fact that we're not allowing him to pick up physical items. So what's the deal? What's the deal, FG?
I'm sorry. The chat has just gone crazy with this branching bolus, the best starter item in the game.
That's right. Overpowered.
So you're saying because everyone is going hybrid, why not reopen the gates and let people buy physical items again and mages buy all kind of?
Sure. I mean,
it's only fair.
I mean, I guess that's my point now. Like, Hi-Rez has gotten gods to the point with the way the items are right now and the way that, Mercury being able to play three roles very, very well. Why not open up more possibilities for items then? They worked away from this and now they're working back to it regarding gods being able to play multiple hybrid roles. So,
I think the difference is the fact that gods can be hybrid roles is a testament to balance. And I think the fact that if Ra could build physical, that causes more unbalance. You know what I mean? I think those are just two intrinsically different things.
But are we limiting Ymir from doing well doing as well as he could be in jungle because he doesn't have the items that a typical assassin would have in jungle?
Yeah, we are on purpose. Like we typically are, because that lessens the amount of variables. And that is, I think if you put in that many variables, it's like I said, physical Ra was such an annoying character, and there's no way that Hi-Rez can make gods comfortably with all of these variables in place. So I think that's the epitome of unbalance. But gods being hybrids, gods being able to go in any role, I think that is the opposite. I think that is like balance in like its rawest form.
We talked about at the top of the show about how it's pretty crazy right now regarding some of the picks and bans right now and the strategy that's coming out and non-traditional roles that gods are playing right now. Are we limiting that because we're limiting items is my question really. Like when you look at that, are we limiting the creativity and the strategy because of that? You're
trying to just spin all the things that I said were possible about being an item.
I don't know what you're talking about. Suicidal. Any last thoughts here, man?
I think that certain gods shouldn't be able to buy certain things. Like, I don't like Wukong having Frostbound because that's what makes him viable in the support lane. So, it's like, should they really allow that kind of stuff? Because that's what makes Mercury support for a while. Because you could just buy Heavy Hammer, and then you could not get away from him, in that first minute.
Yeah.
Should they allow things like that to exist? I think that the issue is, and this kind of goes to a Blizzard mentality. There was there's been for years, PvP people, and this is going to make sense. Stay with me. PvP people and PvE people in World of Warcraft have always been at odds of each other, and they always ask for, hey, how about you make an ability that does this much damage to dragons, but when I go against another player, it does this much damage. And people always forget about the new player experience, the onboarding experience. If I'm leveling and I'm playing Yanis and I get to buy Rada Tahuti, and then I go to another mage and I can't buy Rada Tahuti, I don't it's really confusing for new players. And for us, it's whatever. It's but having all these different conditions, if you use this character and this character, you can't use this item. I think it's just too much. I don't think it's a good idea.
Okay. Well, Suicidal, thanks for calling in. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay. I just have to laugh.
Man.
I just have to laugh.
I know, Mister. I see you. I see what you're doing there.
I don't know what you're talking about. All right. Plug me in, please. Welcome to SmiteTalk. How's it going?
Good. How about you?
Good. So, what do you want to talk about today?
I have a couple questions.
Go for it.
What do you think about a new map? I didn't play when they had the side jungle and everything. And I know that was a while ago, but was it cool to have the side jungle?
It was awesome to have the side jungle because back then it was a 2-1-2 combination And when you were concerned about ganks, you weren't just concerned about you weren't waiting for your mid laner to call out a gank when mid lane was rotating or your, a jungler was rotating and the wards were there. Like, you had to worry about both sides because the enemy could pretty much go all the way around and gank you. So imagine now, FG, with all the initiate, all the leaps and the engages and the blinks now. Oh my god, like that side lane would be crazy.
Yeah, that would be kind of crazy. I've seen the map. That was before my time.
I was going to give you more credit that you actually played that. Those were the days of green, the green buff, which was required on Odin. It was required. Like, no one could argue that Odin was not getting green buff in dual lane. Now, remember, there were 2 dual lanes, people. So, like, when people were like, oh, Zeus wasn't a hunter, there was none of that specification because it was just your dual lane left or your dual lane right, and it didn't matter type of deal. It was funny then because back then you had, like, 2 guardians in every game. Like, you could have, like, your Ymir and your Sobek. So it was quite unique. And, like, the green buff was awesome, and the yellow buff in mid lane, like, Ra yellow buff built very tanky was like unkillable. Like, you'd see Ra built with like breastplate and gem and stuff like that, and then having the yellow buff, and it was like GG. Like, whoever got the yellow buff first, this was before there was mid camps, people. It was crazy. A new map. You talking about a new map for Conquest or what? Or what are you talking about?
Yeah, for Conquest. I'm thinking, like, since you're talking about the new meta and everything, I'm thinking, like, what if there's a new map? Like, what if Hi-Rez is thinking about making a new map?
How do you feel about that? We're 6 months into the official, like, Smite is out. It's official. Would you change the premiere map of Smite right now?
I think it would really if you were to change I know some people may argue Conquest is not, everything that Smite is, and I understand that, but with falling under that MOBA category and making Smite attractive to other MOBA players, I think we have to stick with the traditional 3-lane map with the tower defense style minions and towers that are necessary to make the game, 1, as popular of an esport as it is right now, and 2, compete with the other MOBAs in the scene, League of Legends and Dota 2. I don't think you can venture too far outside of that. We did have a larger Conquest map previously, and, with the side lanes, and since then it's gone away. But I think we're in a really good spot right now. I know in the future, like, there's going to be more and more polishing of the map, art style, stuff like that. But I don't think we're going to venture too far outside of what we have now.
Yeah, I understand. Because I know, like, I don't watch League of Legends all that enough, but did you hear about how they're getting, like, a new map and everything? Like new season coming out?
Yeah, I don't...
It looks good, actually.
Yeah.
I might, well, never mind. I'm not going to play League of Legends because I don't want to buy champions. Never mind.
Yes, I have not seen it, to be honest with you. Does it stick to your traditional 3 lanes, or is it completely...
I didn't think they changed anything. I thought it was just completely graphics.
Oh, graphics.
Like, it looks like Dota 2 now. It looks like Dota 2, the map itself.
Are you saying one MOBA looks like another? Oh, no, that can't be. That can't be. No, I completely understand.
But I completely agree with Octane. The fact that the map is so traditional allows people that just watch, that are at a convention, they see Smite on the screen, they immediately know what's going on because they play League of Legends, they play Dota 2. That increases the chances of them playing Smite and trying Smite. So yeah. I like it.
Somebody in chat said they disagree with me because I said copying League of Legends and Dota. If I said that, I'm sorry. What I meant by that was sticking with the traditional MOBA style map. Is where that came from. I don't think we need to copy anything from League of Legends or Dota 2 when it comes down to the map. What I would like to see is I'd like to see multiple different Conquest map graphical styles. For example, someone in chat said, oh, how about a Mayan style, and how about a Chinese style and stuff like that. So when you load it in, each time you could get a different graphical look to it, which I think would be awesome. Towers looked, had the traditional Chinese, like, towers per se and all that. Like, I'd be down with that. I think that'd be awesome. You could have 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different types of maps. As long as when you load it into Conquest, it was still your traditional 3 lanes. The distance on everything was the same. The damage on everything was the same. It was just a graphical, like, overlay to it. I'm fine with that. I think that'd be great. I don't see a problem with that.
I think the problem with that would be some people's computers couldn't handle it. where like say the Chinese maps like easy to run, and then you have the Egyptian map, which is a really difficult map to run. Like some people would say it's unfair to have like.
Well, you better just step it up. You better just step it up. Come on now. No. Hi-Rez has done a
That's a really good point, actually.
Hi-Rez though has done a very good job though, where the graphic settings can be, the adjustments. You could play on the lowest settings for Smite and still be okay. You know what I mean? Like that's why you have those different settings available in there. I think you could optimize the map in order to not have that problem. Just because FG is going to have to play on the lowest setting doesn't, come on now.
Max all the time. No way.
My final question.
Sure.
It was like I was thinking, right, the top 5, like how there's the like Hunter, Guardian, all that. Like the most balanced gods, like the one god that's the balanced in that. So my like 5 would probably be like ADC would be Brahma, mid lane would be Isis, jungle would probably be like Hunbat. I think he's pretty balanced. Guardian maybe Athena or Geb. I think they're balanced. Warrior would probably be Vamana or Chalk. What do you think?
FG, go for it.
So you're not saying the most powerful in those roles. You're talking about just the most balanced. Like the most like. I don't know about Chalk being there. I don't think Chalk deserves that spot in most balanced solo lane. But other than that, Isis. Yeah, I think she's pretty much the epitome of.
I think Ra. I think Ra's a better example for solo being more balanced.
Ra.
Oh
God, I hate Ra so much.
Oh my word! What are you talking about? Oh, did you?
I'm talking about like roles, like like warrior, guardian, like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. I agree. Okay. Well, cool. Well, good point there. Well, plug me in. Thanks for calling in. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you. See you.
Ra is so.
I hate Ra so
dude,
much.
Ra is so balanced. He's been around so long that like you can't even argue like of being balanced. Come on now.
I just don't like anybody that's. I don't like healers. So
you don't like people that have sustain. That's what you're.
Yeah, issue. I want to do damage, and I want that damage to still be there when I come back, and I'm ready to kill you.
No, then the solo lane is not your lane. Solo lane is not your lane. All right, let's see here. Let's bring in Mick PvP here. Let's see. Mick PvP, welcome to SmiteTalk. How's it going?
Good, you?
Good. So what do you want to talk about today?
I have a few topics. First of all, what do you think about Kukulkan's nerf?
Kukulkan's nerf? What nerf?
It's about time. There are so many times
like
where
this
that
tornado does like 2 seconds. Like it used to be 3 seconds. Now it's only 2 seconds.
What do you think,
FG?
FG?
If they would have like retroactively went through all my Smite games and took away all my deaths where I died at the very last tick of an AO tornado, I would like my KDA would just like skyrocket. It would be fantastic.
Yeah, but it's always so epic though when you're on the other team and like you're waiting on that dot and then it like sticks. Like for example, when a jungler runs through it and then goes into a jungle and then all of a sudden you see FG3000 killed Arachne and you're like, yes.
Yeah. I don't really, because I don't really play him too much at all, so I don't really know the like the numbers behind everything, and I think he got to the point where he became so good at zoning people out and killing them with that tornado. Like it was just too good. Like I've always called Ao Kwang like the traffic cop of the jungle. If he wanted to if he wants to shut off a lane, he can. You throw your tornado, you're not walking into it. But I think it got to the point in tournament level as well. He could put out so much damage and zone people out on an ability that wasn't like Zeus's ultimate, because Zeus's ultimate is the same way. Like you're not walking through Zeus's ultimate, it completely shuts off a lane or a section of the map. It's not happening, but it's an ult. Ao Kwang or Cuckoo, whatever this guy's name is. He had the ability to zone people out and pretty much kill them. Like he could probably kill you just by accidentally walking in and walking out, and you were almost dead. If you're going against an Ao Kwang that was fed or ahead of you, you would almost die in a split second of walking into that. So I think I'm happy with that one less tick, but I don't know the numbers. I don't know how big of a difference it's going to make for me when I'm walking in it. Obviously,
because in the past, we've talked about how like his ultimate could even be altered to be the tornadoes, like because of how good they were on Ao Kwang. You know what I mean? Like those tornadoes were so good. Like so I can understand the damage. It was real. You know, I mean, really, really good. So I'm okay. You know, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. But I'm not typically a mid laner who would run into this as much and have problems with it. I'd be interested to ask Smitten about it because I know she's really good. Well, she was very good on Ao Quang. I don't know how she's feeling Kukulkan right now, but I'd have to ask and kind of see her opinion on it and stuff like that. So good question. You got any more questions for us tonight?
What do you think about a new game mode? Because I know there's that extra slot, and like, so what do you think about a new game mode?
Well, I guess my thought there is, do we need another game mode? Like,
Yeah,
because
just one more.
Because okay, are we stretching our population too thin with additional game modes? And a lot of people are like, oh, I want ranked for each game mode. Well, all of a sudden now you're doubling your amount of game modes. Even if it's arena and arena ranked, you're doubling your amount of game modes. Therefore, your population on each one is limited. Therefore, the matchmaking system is not going to be as accurate. We suffer because of it. So part of me actually feels like we have too many game modes right now, and that the game mode should have been released more far apart in order to deal with the population problems. What do you think, FG?
Sorry, I got distracted in chat. I see what you're saying, and I think I don't know if that's going to be as big of a deal coming soon when it comes to the time queues. I think the populations are just going to gravitate to the modes that they like the most. So I don't think another mode is going to like, I think today with the rolling queues, I could completely understand that. But I think soon this is going to be, we're going to have a really segregated population when it comes to game modes, and people are only going to play the game modes that they like the most. And if the game mode is good enough, it'll have a good enough population to support it. And what I mean by that, shameless plug, actually, we have a caller, so I'm not going to jump into another topic.
That's okay. Big PvP, anything else you got for today?
What do you think about, like, the last guy said, like, new different map textures?
Yep.
So what if you could, like, buy different textures for your different conquests?
That would be, everyone would have to be on the same map. I couldn't be looking at something different than FG. I think that would cause problems. So I think it's a good idea because I understand the microtransaction aspect of it for, you know, additional profits for Hi-Rez Studios where, like, I could buy skins for conquest maps and stuff like that. But I understand, like, there could be quite some problems behind that. So I'm going to say probably won't work out that way, but it's a good thought. Well, thanks, man, for calling in. I appreciate it.
That's all I have today.
Thank you. All right, what was your tangent? Go. What do you got? What do you got? You're like, oh, we got a caller, so I can't bring it up.
There have been a lot of people that have been really, really excited for timed queues.
Woo-hoo!
And I've been completely indifferent. About this thing because time queues bring more.
What are you, 30?
Like, I'm just indifferent.
I don't like change. I can't handle change.
Everyone is like clamoring. They want to have better matchmaking, and that is I understand that need. Everyone wants to have better matchmaking, but I think people are going to get to the point where they're like, all right, if I have to wait 5 minutes for a better match, I'm not going to queue up for Assault anymore or Arena or Siege. I'm only going to play Conquest now. Like I used to, I think people are going to really, really get segregated into different modes now. Like nowadays, if I log in and Siege has 30 seconds and Conquest has 2 minutes, I'm playing Siege. But if I have to wait the same amount of time for each mode, I don't know if I'm going to be playing Siege and Assault anymore. I'm just going to just queue up for what I really want to play. And I think
You think we're going to have more niches? For example, like we're going to have like our Conquest players and our Arena players. And, like, I'm okay with that. I'm fine with that. I mean, it's...
I think people, but I mean, I don't think people understand it just yet. I think people don't realize that breaking up the monotony a little bit is like really good, and being forced to have to wait to break up the monotony is.
So, I don't like it. Do we need this button then? Random game mode.
Random game mode with extra.
No, like you click on it and then it puts you into one of the queues, and then you don't know until it pops.
I do like that.
That'd be kind of cool. That'd be kind of fun. That'd be kind of fun.
Really, really good idea.
That's right.
Another Blizzard move, by the way. I hate to always bring up the Blizzard guys, but they're really good developers.
Send me the checks. Send me the checks. Send me the checks. All right.
Random Battlegrounds gave you extra gold if you queued up, because basically what you're doing is you're helping spread the population,
Mhm.
right? You are doing Hi-Rez a favor by plugging in where there is, there's not enough assault players, but this guy clicks random, so throw him an assault. You're actually helping them out. I think it'd be great if they gave people, a little extra favor for doing that kind of thing.
Okay. I can see it. We'll bring on Average John. Welcome to Smite Talk. How's it going?
Pretty good.
Good. So we want to talk about today.
I wanted to talk, at the start of the show, you were talking about Anubis. I wanted to talk about him and Guardians, because the problem with Anubis that I see is that Anubis essentially belongs in the duo lane. He needs someone to peel him all the time. He needs someone babysitting him in the early levels in case he gets blown up, but he can't have that when he's in mid.
Correct.
And then he displaces the ADC, which is bad. Well, not necessarily, because some ADCs function in other lanes, but it takes too much effort to put Anubis into a team comp in the current meta.
Okay. So do you think right now that when the current meta with some of the other gods that are playing mid, he isn't viable because he doesn't have self-sustain, or should I say disengaged and stuff like that? Whereas a lot of your other gods, like your Agni or Giannis and stuff like that, they have the disengage available, so that they can get that escape when a gank comes about.
Yeah, the reason that you put someone in mid lane is because they can get out of dying in mid lane. You don't put someone in mid lane who can't back up. It's the reason that Raw isn't that common in mid lane, is because Raw, he can survive in his heal, and he can get out because he can move really quickly. But if Thor sticks a wall behind him, Raw will die.
Yeah. I mean, I know, I can understand that. I mean, so what do you think can be done in order to make Anubis more viable in the current meta? Or do you think at this point he's just not?
Go ahead.
I think that if Anubis's 2, his stun, was replaced with an escape, it would impact him in that he alone could not 1v1 as efficiently, but it would mean that he could work on teams more effectively, and his kit is pretty good for working on a team. His 1 is basically for jungle camps and for lane clear when he won't die. His 2 is for murdering someone when they're directly in front of you, or murdering a couple people if you can stun someone and chain the ult. His 3 is for lane clear, being safe, and getting him out of some situations, and his ult is for murdering everything. Obviously, it's an ult. And the issue is that his 2, if it were a jump, would mean that his 1 would be really unsafe to do at almost any time. And I don't know, if you would replace the 1 and the 2, because the 1's his prime source of damage. His fastest lane clear is the 1. If you got rid of that, it's an issue.
That's true. I can understand that. Any last thoughts there, FG, on that?
No, I mean, I think a lot of people were kind of talking about Anubis and duo and Anubis there, and I think the funny thing is, I think the best place for Anubis is jungle. That's his best role. Going jungle and trying to finish the game before the 20-minute mark, forcing an F6. I think that's his best. I think that's the only thing he can really do in this meta in his current kit.
That sounds like you just want to go Naja mid or something to make it viable. I don't understand. Average Joe, you got anything else for today?
The thing about Anubis jungle is that he can meld the Gold Fury and the Fire Giant extremely efficiently. It works pretty good. So, but he can't gank all that well. He punishes people for being out of position. So if someone uses their jump, then he will come into your lane and he'll.
So he's really good for sneaking behind someone.
Anubis jungle isn't the worst thing ever, but Anubis jungle, if it comes over, you die.
Okay.
If Thor says, I want Anubis' speed buff today, and he knows Anubis is at the speed buff, Anubis will die at that speed buff and not get the speed buff.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that turn of events there.
Yeah.
And he will not get the speed buff.
Yep. Well, Average Joe, thanks for calling in. I appreciate it. All right. Let's see here. Let's bring in Red. Red, welcome to Smite Talk. How's it going?
Anubis is a jackal. I just want to...
Not a dog?
Chat told me.
Well, Red, you with us, Red?
I think. Yeah, what's up, guys?
Hey, so we want to talk about today.
My question is about Thanatos.
Okay.
Like, what do you think about him in general?
I think he's awesome. I mean, I think Thanatos is in a really good spot right now. What do you think? What do you think, FG?
I hate to. No shots are fired, by the way. There's no shots fired, but I think DM Brandon is incorrect on this. Thanatos is fantastic. A lot of people listen to people talk about gods at a tournament level, and they automatically apply it to everything under a tournament level.
Sure.
So if someone says Thanatos is terrible, you shouldn't pick him in SPL, that has zero to do with the casual queue.
Well, yeah,
Thanatos
I think in the SPL there's a lot of
beast.
better choices than Thanatos for jungle.
Yeah, for sure.
But with some of the bans and picks that occur, like, you know, like I know iRaffer on Mortality, you know, he enjoys playing Thanatos. Thanatos, he does pretty well. It's kind of the go-to god for him if he doesn't have other options. Like right now, like Nemesis is really big with him. But, you know, if Nemesis is banned out and Merc isn't available, like, you know, I wouldn't say he's top 2 junglers, but I think he's in a really good spot though, you know, as an assassin.
And he's definitely a pup stomper. Like, Thanatos is a pup stomper. Like, he will go in a game and end it in 15 to 20 minutes with an F6.
Yeah.
That's so a lot of people don't think he's good because they heard something about a tournament and he's not good and he's a niche pick and only because these guys are gone. In casual queue, I think Thanatos is fantastic.
Oh yeah, I see him
because some
playing
people
well.
just can't. They just don't know what to do with him.
Yeah.
So Thanatos is fine.
No, I agree. All right, let's bring in Manny here. Manny, welcome to Smite Talk. How's it going?
Hello.
Hey, so what to talk about today?
Well, I would like to talk about the spot that my favorite god is in.
Okay.
Which would be Hell.
Oh.
And yeah, I feel like for what she is, she's incredibly underutilized. Like,
I've seen people playing Hell more and more in solo. Like I've seen Hell been popping up in solo because of the sustain. Where do you favorite god is Hell? Where do you play Hell the most right now?
Right now solo, but occasionally I'll throw her in mid if I'm having fun. I don't do Hell support. I don't believe in that. But right now, like what I'll do is I'll just comfortably farm. You can pretty much clear a wave after about level 6, which are 1 and 3, and they can't do anything about you because Hell's early game is punishable. Mm-hmm. And that's what people complain about her being, you know.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
Know, she's extremely fast, you know. Boost and Rodimus Clapius bring you up to 520 speed, which is 3, you know. So she's not exactly easy to gank, but her lack of escape makes her more vulnerable.
Okay.
The late game is where she shines. I feel like we should be doing more late game. You know, everybody's worried about what she does early game, what they do early game. If you can survive into a late game with Hell, you can 1v3 people. And you will force brawlers to be 6 and freaking weakening curses on the whole enemy team if you are good enough. So I feel like right now, she's just not being used as much as she should.
FG, what do you think about Hell, her current state, and what role do you really see her in right now?
Yeah, I mean, Hell solo is kind of the only place you can really put her because just like the last couple callers before, mid is too much of a traffic jam to put Hell in there because there's too many people coming in and out of mid, and she has no escape. It's just too much. And of course, you can't play her support. She has no peel. She has no way of, like, I know a lot of like new players are like, I'm gonna play Hell because she has peels and I'll support you.
Yeah, you don't have the CC available there either.
Yeah,
you know?
But I completely agree with what you're saying. Once Hell gets out of that laning phase safely from not getting like ganked repeatedly, because most people see a Hell solo and they're like, that is where I'm going to be for the rest of the game. I'm going to sit on the solo lane and get as many kills as I can. But if she can safely get out of that lane, yeah, I mean, her repulse is amazing. In the middle of a team fight, doesn't matter. You just hit 3. You hit 3, and you do damage to everyone. And then you switch to light stand. Yeah, exactly. You switch to light stand. She has like built-in speed. I mean, she's really, really good. However, when it comes to the Smite meta, your early game is not guaranteed. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you getting to the late game is not guaranteed, and that's why people don't play Shibalanke, because if you really butcher that laning phase, you might not even have a late game.
You can't right now. You can't really base your god selections off of late game. Or else like
Yeah.
Chronos,
Unless you're playing Siege.
or else unless like Chronos would be picked up like all the time. Because like late game he's just ridiculous. But like because of the fact that like right now like games are like early game and that mid game is such a strong factor right now. So I can agree with you there. I mean, I like Hell in solo. I've seen some people play Hell phenomenally in solo. And do very, very well in Snowball to the point where, like, then all of a sudden you have a roaming Hell at, like, the 15-minute mark, and it's like, oh, my word, like, watch out, it's a disaster. So yeah, I can agree there. Any other questions you got for us today, Manny?
About the guy that said he didn't know how to stick to a guy long enough to get him to rank 10.
Yep.
Now, I have 8 10s, and pretty much all of them fine. Pretty much all of them found guys I really like, and I just play with them. I didn't like grind them just that guy all the way to 10. No, that would drive me crazy. But I played them a little bit more than the rest. I'd hop around, go back to them, play a few games here and there, hop around, go back to them, play a few games. And after a while, you get them to like rank 8, and you just grind out the rest.
Okay, I can see that. Good. Well, thanks for calling in, Manny. I appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you. Good deal. Oh, see, that's the only downside. Like, when I play, every time I play Smite, those of you guys aren't familiar, I stream, and I'm always.
Oh, here we go.
No, I'm just saying. I hate you. I hate you so much. I'm gonna fight you. You and FG. Or F dot. I'm gonna fight you. Fight you.
Mastery levels.
No. I'm just saying that I have looked past this to the point where, like, when I stream, I play custom games and I play custom 5v5s with all my viewers, and so you don't get rewarded with those worshippers. So like there's a lot of people that are like hooked on the fact of getting masteries and getting the skins and stuff like that. And if you could look past that, you can have a lot of fun with the game. Look past those types of things. Because like for me, like I play Geb every other game, yet I think he's at like 5 maybe because of the fact that it's all custom games. So that's all I'm saying. All right. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Let's. All I gotta do, by the way, someone's like, Octane and FG fight 1v1. I'm like, sure, no problem. All I need is a Miller High Life, and we're good to go.
Best beer in it.
Best beer ever. I will say I had the best beer. One of my top 3 beers right now is one I had in Atlanta at the launch tournament. It's Allagash. Allagash was served a lot in Atlanta. Almost every bar we went to. One Wednesday night there, I had way too much of it. Anyways,
we'll have some more in January.
Oh my word! This is so good. Try out Allagash. It is a white Belgian wheat, and it's very good, and it goes down super easy. But like, I think it was Wednesday night. Yeah, Wednesday night when I was down there, I went out drinking with like Smitten and a bunch of people. Oh my word! Worst idea ever.
Smitten's a drinker. She can.
Oh my word! Oh my gosh. Okay, let's bring in When in Doubt. Welcome to SmiteTalk. How's it going?
When in doubt, buy beads and words. Oh, wait. We're not talking about Smite? Oh, sorry, go for it.
That's right. So, what do you want to talk about today?
I was actually wanting to talk about the new item that's coming up, the Ishval.
Okay. Oh yeah.
And,
Yep. We talked about this last show.
The brand new bow. Yeah.
Yeah. I like the fact that it's got that every successful basic attack increases your physical power by 10. And reduces your target's physical power from items by 10 for 3 seconds, max of 3 stacks.
It's a ridiculous item.
I'm feeling that this is going to be a new assassin's primary tool.
Yeah, we actually talked about this being even with ADCs and stuff like that. Seeing this item picked up there.
One of the people that I was actually looking at for ADCs on that would be Anhur, because he comes already basically built in with an executioner.
I think the item is too cheap for the value of the item. I think the price of it needs to be increased without a doubt. FG, what do you think about the price of it versus the reward of hitting it level 10?
So good old 1650. So interesting. I don't really hunter as much as I used to.
Yeah.
But 1650, you kind of have to give up.
Man, you could buy that on anybody. Jeez.
Yeah, you really can't just buy that on anybody.
Unless you're a magical god, and then you're not allowed.
I tried this out with a Mercury, and I ended up putting together a really interesting build for Mercury.
Okay.
With it, And the build had not only the Ishval in it, but the Odysseus bow as well.
Okay.
So you have Mercury, who already attacks faster than the speed of light.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's why they decided to make the run.exe.
Okay.
But, okay, so now you've got, with just the Odysseus bow and the Ishval, and a Hasten Fatalis on them, in the early game, that already puts them up at a attack speed of 2.32.
Okay.
So you would no longer have to build anything other than lifesteal on it and movement.
And that's just scary. That's like really scary because like right now it's like ridiculous without that item. No, I can agree. I can agree. I mean, I don't know what they're gonna do with this item. We've had a lot of new items recently, and I don't know. We'll have to see what happens. I don't know. FG, what do you think about this new item? I mean, do you think it? I mean, what do you think?
The only thought I have, I don't see it really being a good item for a jungler.
Okay.
Because reducing your target's physical power isn't very useful in all lanes, so I think it's probably going to be really, really restricted to, you know, hunters versus hunters.
Yeah.
Or maybe very niche solo picks, maybe, just depending on what's happening over there, but it's probably going to be on hunter a lot more.
Okay. Okay, I can see that. When in doubt, anything else you want to talk about today?
When are y'all gonna start coming out with some better AP items? The magical power.
When Hi-Rez releases it. That's what I have to say. I mean, I think there could be more items. I'm not disagreeing with you there.
That Celestial Helm is great.
Yeah.
The helmet is fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously it's more protection item for crit, but the fact that you get magic power after your crits, I think it's really cool. I think it's a really neat item.
I could see the two new helmets that are also in here. They're also really good for a defensive standpoint as well.
Okay.
Because they both give physical protection. So you also got to look at the factor of, well, protection from critical hits for what, once every 20 seconds?
Is it that long?
Yeah, it's if you are crit, you cannot be crit again for the next 3 seconds and gain 40 magical power during that time. Cannot activate more than once every 20 seconds.
Gotcha. Okay.
It gives you 40 magical power and 50 magical protection, physical protection.
Okay.
The only thing I could see with a flaw in that is the fact that most of the time, usually when people go for crit builds, they already have an outrageous attack speed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true. I can see that. Have you been FG? Have you been using the new helms as much as you thought you would?
No, because it's not second nature yet.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm the same way. I'm the same way. I'm like, new items? Where do they fit in? Yeah, no.
Like, I don't click that button. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
But they're very underrated, and I need to put them in more builds for sure.
I agree with you. I agree with you. Well, when in doubt, thanks for calling in. I appreciate it.
Not a problem.
All right. Last caller for tonight, guys. Dusk.
20 minutes early?
Dusk, welcome to Smite Talk. How's it going?
Hello.
Hello. So we want to talk about... Oh, you! One question tonight. You always have a million questions. So what's your question? One question. One.
Why are you so bad at Archage?
One.
I'm just kidding. Okay, so...
Because I started playing it yesterday.
Yeah, no, I was there. Basic items. What I mean is items that are tier 1 are very expensive and you don't get much for it. Like, if you want to get something decent, you have to invest more in one item. I'm guessing that Hi-Rez is trying to encourage people to finish an item instead of having multiple lesser items.
Especially because of the fact that some of the passives are trickled down to the second item. You know?
Yeah, but the passive itself is usually enough to encourage you to get the last item.
Correct.
Because there's all the items just would give you like small stats like 10 physical power, which is like nothing.
Mm-hmm.
But the price is way too high and you get nothing. And the thing is, what got me thinking about this is when they added the short bow, which to me made absolutely no sense because short bow is 600 gold for 15 attack speed, while light blade is 700 gold for 10 attack speed.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a really good item. I mean, it's the oboe, as Smitten calls it, the oboe. Because
I did not know she called it that.
Because of the Odyssey bow. But yeah, no, I mean it's. I agree with you. It's a really good item, especially early on, without a doubt.
Yeah, I mean, Odysseus bow is really good, but I'm talking like the first item in the tree.
Yeah.
It's like more expensive. It's more cheaper than the light bait and gives more attack speed.
Mm-hmm.
Like, my logic is that like I'm coming from like a Dota 2, where every item has like, you get some worth for a specific gold.
Okay.
Like, if you're gonna build into an item which requires multiple items, the items that you first get are worth that gold.
Mm-hmm.
While 700 gold is not worth 10 attack speed.
Okay, I can see where that comes from. I can understand that.
Yeah, I guess they just kind of set up the level 1s based off of what you could potentially build into, and that's kind of the reason for the prices being kind of in different areas. You know what I mean? Because Lightblade builds into things like size, for example. So they want the barrier to entry to be just a little bit higher.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's the only thing I can kind of come up with. The reason why the rank 1s are kind of all over the place, and they kind of want to restrict what you can buy out of the gate on a lot of things.
Yes. Unfortunately. But no, that is true. That is true. No, I understand. Well, Dust, thanks for calling in. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Alrighty. So, any last things you want to talk about tonight that kind of round out the night that we kind of went over that you wanted to talk a little bit more about? We talked quite a few different things
all
tonight.
over the place tonight.
I know. Man, what type of show is this? Oh wait, it's SmiteTalk. I guess it works.
Oh, do you want to tell people about your Lord and Savior Nija? Would you like to share some words to chat before we leave? Tell them about Nija and how we had fun on Monday together.
There's this garbage player I know that only plays one god and decided last time I played with them, they show up every once in a while in my stream because I do viewer games. So I do 5v5 viewer games. And this person decided to show up in my stream, play like garbage, and play mid lane with Naja. And because this person only plays this god, they did very well in mid lane. And the told you so moment occurred at the very end of the game. We'll just put it that way. To this person, I do not know. And I will not say. But the first letter of their handle might be F. All right? We'll just put it that way.
And he ends with 0, but he's not a 0. Let me tell you. Nija mid is legit.
I don't know how you made that work, though, and you actually did very well in it. And I wanted to be like, really? Really?
Nisha mid works because people can't get away from ring toss.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's automatic, it's secure.
You were the one who complained. You were the one that complained when ring toss couldn't bounce back to do additional damage. I remember that. No, ring toss is so good, and the extension of ring toss is like I feel like the extension of ring toss puts what is it?
Major look.
No.
Is that what you're going to say?
No.
Wait,
chain lightning to shame. It puts like chain lightning to shame. Are you kidding me? Like it's just like ding ding. Best. The fact that it would go ding ding, ding 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 ding. I was like, oh my word! Like, are you kidding me? This isn't pinball. And for those kids that don't know what pinball is in chat, like, oh my word.
Old man Octane again.
Oh what?
And people on Reddit right now are saying, I want Nija buffs, and I'm like secretly like not typing anything because I don't want to like ruin it. I want Hi-Rez to really think I want Hi-Rez to really think that he needs a buff.
Yeah. Have you seen? Oh, come on now. It's a girl. Oh my word. I forget. I think is that the game that I decided to go solo? It was. I think that game I went solo in and did terrible.
Yeah, you went solo raw.
I went solo raw. I didn't do terrible. I'm a Guardian player, and I decided to play raw, and I did okay. I think
you got picked out of that game.
I did. It was one of those games where it was like really 5-person rotation left lane.
Yeah.
Come on now, focus the streamer much, but whatever. It was fun though. I have it on YouTube, so I didn't do whatever. You can watch it over there if you actually want to see it, without a doubt. Someone in chat, if you've never heard of Pinball Machine, you have a childhood failure. That's right. Lay it on him.
And one last Nija thing before we leave. Hell has a new god-to-god interaction with Nija. Have you heard it?
God-to-god interaction? No, but you're going to tell me. Okay.
I am going to tell you. So, you know how Hell is 2 different people. You have, like, the good side and the bad side. So, the good side, when she kills Nija, which never happens. So, when Hell kills Nija, the good side says, "Take that, little girl," and then the bad side says, "That's a boy, you idiot."
Oh,
It's really awesome.
yes!
It's really
Yes,
awesome.
that is awesome. I've not heard that. Is that new?
Yeah, it's new. It'll be in this patch. So if
yeah.
Hell somehow kills Nija, which never happens, you'll be able to hear that.
If Hell snowballs early on and gets ahead early on, she just melts. She melts. Come on now, let's be honest here.
Yeah. A Military Sash to ult and see you later.
whatever. So guys, we're gonna go ahead and wrap things up for tonight here. I do appreciate you guys coming to hang out with us. Wanted to let you guys know, if you guys you want to email questions in, feel free to email us. SmiteTalk@gmail.com. This isn't just available to the live audience, but also people that watch this over the VOD. If it's on YouTube, which youtube.com/TheSmiteUpdate, you can watch it over there. Or if you're checking it out on iTunes, definitely want to give props to the people that, the other week I called out people in the EU not giving us any feedback on iTunes, and you guys responded without a doubt, coming back and leaving us that feedback. We do appreciate it. It helps out the ratings for the show, gets it up there within the Smite community on iTunes. So go out, check it out. If you don't have, an iOS platform and you have Android, just download like Slacker or BeyondPod. They're just free podcast apps, and look for Smite Talk, and it's 2 words in there, and you'll find it. Download the show. Hopefully you guys enjoy the audio version. We get a lot of feedback from people that listen to it on their commute to work or at work, where you can't like have your phone out and stuff like that. So check it out. Would definitely appreciate it. Shout outs to Hi-Rez Studios for allowing us to host this show on their channel, twitch.tv/SmiteGame. We air, as I said, every week at 8 p.m. Eastern, directly after Smite Update. And before we go ahead and get out of here, FG, where can people enjoy more of your content, even if it is mostly Naja?
There it is, right there in chat.
Oh!
YouTube.com/FitnessGamer3000. I do tons and tons of commentary. I do Siege, I do Arena, I do Conquest. I don't just play Naja. I don't like it. It doesn't flow. I like to just say Naja. It comes out faster. So check me out on YouTube every single day.
Okay, good to know. And guys, once again, you can check out all of my content on Twitter, on YouTube, and on Twitch. I stream multiple times a week on Twitch. I also post. I'm posting more and more on YouTube, at least twice a week now. YouTube.com/OctanePro SCII. So please, everything is Octane Pro SCII. So please make sure you go check me out there, and make sure you guys follow Smite Game Channel. Make sure that you guys are following the channel, keeping up to date with what's going on. Getting notifications when the shows go live, when certain streamers are up, when the SPL is going on. So make sure you guys do hit that follow button. From myself, from FG3000, we will see you guys next time. Take care, everybody.